I want to ask a couple of questions about Ship 30 for 30 because I think it's super interesting. It's obviously different than, it's one of the businesses you're running now. I think it'd be interesting to spend a little bit more time on it. So you talked about that it's the largest cohort-based writing, I think, program in the world. Talk about just maybe flesh that out a little bit more so people understand. And then I just want to ask a couple of questions about what the program is like. So maybe if you could just start with an overview.
Yeah, so I'll kind of answer both at the same time. It's basically a writing challenge where everyone is challenged to write what we call an atomic essay, so 250 words or less every single day for 30 days. And the reason is because the primary problem that we want to solve is people not writing consistently. There's a lot of talented writers in the world. The problem is you don't do it enough, right? So it's not about talent, it's about consistency. So that's the primary point of view of the whole business. And then wrapped around it is a whole education curriculum. We do live sessions, we educate on the fundamentals of digital writing, how to write headlines, how to format your pieces, how to write Twitter threads, LinkedIn posts. Like we go through and give you all of that. But the primary mechanism is do it and then learn as you go versus just take a course where you passively learn, but what are you applying, you know? And so the business itself, I mean, you talk about scale. So I went to college and my degree is in fiction writing. And in my fiction writing classes, it was like 12 students. Different experience, right? Because you get a different level of involvement when it's a smaller type of thing. But there were probably, I'm going to guess, 200 people in my creative writing department, 300 maybe. We run one of these cohorts every 8 to 12 weeks. And every cohort after 18 months is between 800 and 1,500 people. I mean, we're running cohorts of like 1,000 writers at a time, and we've only been doing it for a year and a half. And so that's the power of when you really understand. Like most people or me 4 years ago would have thought, I want to build a writing education business. I got to teach all these people manually. No, you don't. You can use these other mechanisms to scale your teachings in different ways. You just have to be really conscious and deliberate about how you're choosing to do that. So it's been a really fun business to build.
I want to ask two quick follow-up questions on that. Thinking about Ship 30 for 30 and the fact that you've now run so many, students through this program and that you're doing 800 to 1,500 every time you do one of these, about roughly once a quarter. I mean, that scale is massive. And so I imagine you've started to triangulate and see some themes and see some trends. The two questions I want to ask, maybe I'll start with one. What typically is the biggest delta that you see in people that participate in Ship 30 for 30 from the time they start to the time they end? Because obviously the goal is consistency. And so I imagine a lot of people are just like, I want to write. This is my forcing function by participating in Ship 30 for 30 and writing. So clearly their writing velocity is increasing. What else increases and how do people change over the course of that cohort?
Well, I'll say first, I give the ability for us to scale. I do not take credit for. I give all of that credit to my co-founder, Dickie Bush, who has much more of a brain wired for that, which has been an amazing combination. I can take all of these frameworks and things I've developed over the years, and he helps build processes around them. And all of a sudden, we can expose it to thousands and thousands of people. It's really amazing. But the delta between someone starting and someone finishing, and the reality is, most people, it's not that you finish, they then start and keep going, And so that's the ultimate transformation. But I'll tell you, for every cohort, you have people that go, I've written more in 30 days than I have in 3 years. I've written more in 30 days than I ever have in my entire life. And it's because when you make it small, that was the whole aha around the atomic essay, is when you make it small and actionable on a daily basis. 250 words adds up really quickly. All of a sudden a week goes by and that's the equivalent of writing a long form blog post, but if you tell someone sit down and write a long form blog post, it's very overwhelming. So that is the real transformation for me, is when you break it down into bite-sized pieces. Everyone comes to the same realization, which is, oh, I can actually do this. Yeah, of course you can. You just got to make it actionable for yourself.
I want to ask one more follow-up question, which is, so obviously people participate in this program and the whole goal is this is the start of them continuing to write, hopefully forever. And this is something that they're always doing to shape their thinking and get their thinking out on paper. The question I want to ask, though, is for the people that complete the program and go on to do really, really well, just subjectively, that could be they continue writing, they develop their voice, this becomes a bigger deal for them. Have you noticed any commonalities about how they approach writing, how they show up in Ship 30 for 30? Just any traits for the people that are the most successful kind of graduates?
Yes. Besides the classic stuff, which is, it's the people that are most committed and the most disciplined and, consistent, etc. This might be a nice segue into the snow leopard stuff, which is the people that are most successful are the ones that come to the realization that the goal is to become known for a niche they own. Again, took me a very long time to learn this as a writer. Your goal is not to just build followers. Your goal is not to rack up views. Your goal is not even to sell a bunch of copies of one book or your course or whatever it is. Your goal is to be associated with a highly specific topic that is relevant to a highly specific group of people. And when you become known for a niche you own, all of a sudden you can write a dozen books and you can create a dozen courses and you can build a dozen products because you know that that group of people is looking for that type of thing. Whereas there's a lot of people that, you know, there's a whole bunch of courses online, how to build an audience, how to get more views, right? But none of it teaches you how to be different. That's the whole idea, right? And as long as you're stuck in a comparison game, it doesn't matter how many times you post a day. No one associates you with anything. So that is where you start to see the real transformation of writers happen.